Alright, so we are back with a little bit different video. This time we are watching Virgil Abloh's How to Improve Your Creative Process video. And for me, I've already shared a little bit about me. So I'm into design, or I design like different articles, not just about clothes, but also like, let's say, interior design and bags and stuff like that. But I'm trying to cut down the noises and start to focus on one thing and one thing only. Like right now I'm just focusing on fashion. But I'm not gonna lie, Virgil was a lot of inspiration for me when I started my company, and he definitely was a sense of a source of not just motivation, but also to kind of like expand my knowledge as well. So kind of test myself just to go beyond what I have and what I should be doing. But either way, I'm gonna look into the video because as most of you watching, I'm also not always motivated or not always in the same kind of state where I can think creatively. And that's when I go on to these videos and actually try to figure out ways in which I can go beyond what my mind is trying to, decide or make decisions into. So let's go and watch this video and see what Virgil have to say. Rest in peace.
The process and the end product are equally as valuable. I embrace imperfection as much as I embrace the pursuit of perfection.
That is so true. Because pursuit of perfection is what gets you to perfection, not thinking of the perfection itself, right? That's one thing I love about him. He always talked about how to deliver your products, or kind of like adding a sense of story to your products rather than just being selling.
A lot of people may be familiar with Virgil Abloh through name drops in multiple high-profile rap songs, while some are familiar with his work in the fashion industry, from being the head designer of menswear at Louis Vuitton, or through his own brand Off-White, which has had multiple hyped-up pieces and collaborations with major brands like Nike. Even if you aren't familiar with his name, you are most definitely familiar with Virgil's cultural impact on design and fashion. But one of Virgil's biggest contributions that is often overlooked was his commitment to helping young creatives enhance their output and elevate what they are making.
I want to put culture on track so then.
So today we're going to sit with Jordan and go through his brand, Hypeland, to sort of pick out the elements that are the strongest and areas that he can work on. I'm really going to be looking for an original concept and like a fresh aesthetic. Hey, that's good.
What's up, man? How you doing?
How you doing? Virgil.
Jordan, nice to meet you, man.
Pleasure.
Dang, you tall, man. I was like...
That's good. How's it going so far? Cool. So explain sort of what this reference material is that we're looking at.
So just as like a general basis, I brought a bunch of images that kind of represent words that represent my brand, things that I pull influence from, pull a lot of references from the Army and cartoons. So I have the military references. I really like the camel prints. You see the snow camel print. I really like the pockets. I get like a lot of influence from like the military. The reason I put the Olympics in the center with the flags is because that's kind of like the whole message around my brand. I like to try and include like the worldwide aspect, as you see on like the wall right there. Worldwide is like my whole thing. Also, you have like the sports reference. I grew up like really big on sports, play tennis,
so it's mixing like
basketball.
sports, military.
It's really big on that. So I look into like the
cartoons.
fashion. So you have the jerseys, the varsity jackets that come as a result of playing football and basketball. So I've been really influenced in that type of fashion. Like, then over here you have like a lot of like comic references. I do a lot of research and I like spend a lot of my time reading like old vintage comics. So you'll see a lot of these are like military, controversial, like horror comics. So you see at the top, Mystery Tales is like a horror comic. It's one of my favorite covers. You see The Tunnel of Nowhere. It's really kind of like sci-fi type stuff, but I use these comics as like a reference for like graphic influence.
There's like a lot of things that come to mind, I think, for your brand, but also for like other people taking the course based on like the similar type of approach to what your brand is. I think one of the greatest lessons that I've learned in building sort of like my sort of career path and like streetwear or fashion is, in an ironic way, is like being very concise. Because your life, especially like a young life, it's like absorbed by like things that you've been into like very passionately. And then, you know, when you start a brand, you can often try to like whip them all together to make one big story. But the less it is, the stronger it is. The more focused, the more, you know, when your brain starts drawing parallels between, say, like Olympics, Nintendo, and anime, then it can start to get a little bit like fuzzy as to like what does the brand really mean. You know, like the biggest trick in design that I use is just like hyper focus and repeat. When I see this, I see like 7 brands. You know, 7 strong brands. You said some amazing like things that you might not even realize because you're so like into the whole world that, you know, this is you, and then you have one brand. You know, it's also smart to realize it's like you don't just have one brand in you. You know, it's like there could be more. So you should consider like focusing in on that and not everything else. Like, and you kind of highlighted it maybe accidentally when you're talking about the anime. You know, it's like this sort of like global thing, but it's like it's localized to subtitles here. And, you know, like that's a super strong concept. Like you could just...
I'm gonna pause it there because the one thing he said was so good. That was being concise. We gotta be concise with whatever design we are making, because kind of the most important aspect is to ignore the noise of that can negatively affect your brand as such. And there's a really famous German designer. The line that he said was, "The less is more." Right, less is more. And I think Virgil also a reference to that line as well, because generally, if we start to clutter our brand itself, then the marketing becomes awfully difficult, and people won't be able to track to what exactly you're selling, or what exactly or why exactly they should buy that product, right? So because since there's no branding, like let's say if we think about Chanel, they have a cohesive design throughout their articles, their products. Even if let's say they open restaurant, or even if they go on and about open, I don't know, even a sport gym or whatever, we know what type of that product is going to look like, right? We have a sense of understanding what these products will look like, because we know the branding of Chanel, we know the branding of Dior, we know the branding of Nike, we know the branding of these different, like Apple itself. So these branding is the main idea of the branding comes from being concise and kind of like choosing your own lane and sticking to that lane while ignoring the noise. I think that point was amazing. It kind of perfectly defines what
After
we should
analyzing
focus
Jordan's
on.
brand, Virgil noticed that his ideas were great, but crowded, creating an unclear brand identity. The advice Virgil gave Jordan for focusing his brand would prove to be extremely helpful. Hypeland now specializes in officially licensed anime collabs, selling popular items like hoodies, rugs, and t-shirts featuring characters from multiple anime shows. Today, Jordan and his brand Hypeland are doing amazing.
We out here at the Hypeland Hello Kitty Carnival. We're going crazy right now. Look, man.
Virgil's suggestion of being more simple and concise with branding did not come from a random place. It is actually a part of a larger creative process that Virgil had worked years to perfect.
Essentially, you know, understanding that this way of thinking can apply to everything. So this is the first time I'm debuting a new wave. It's called these red slides. These red slides are cheat codes. Basically, if you can answer them, you basically give yourself a cheat code. And it's things that I've had to learn. I basically work at a feverish pace in a self-serving way just to find my signature, like what's my DNA. So what I would challenge you in your work, no matter what, is go back go back to when you were like, your earliest memories, or the way that you thought to organize something, the way you thought to organize your closet, or what colors were your favorite. That's when your DNA started. And for me, that sort of leads me to my next slide, which I'm super proud of, because it's the first time I've ever thought about what I'm doing and sort of made myself make a list. This is straight from the iPhone notes. These are things that I figured out through working, is that we exist off the backs of many other things and iterations before us. Number 2 for me is obviously this thing that's probably getting a little bit tired, but get used to it because I'm going to keep using it. It's talking in quotes. So there's that. Then I have my sort of like 3% approach. Right now, I'm only interested in editing something 3% from its original form. I'm basically tired. It might be too old, but I found that things are intriguing to me when they're like slightly edited, like these shoes. Like this is an Air Force One. Yeah, the Jordan way. But essentially, I got asked to do another Air Force One. This is like a new one. But I was only interested in restraining myself and only editing it 3%, because I don't want another shoe. I want to see something that makes me recognize the shoe that I already have. But it's a personal thing.
That's actually crazy, because if you think about it, people are already familiar with that object itself, and you're just making slight changes, and that can actually help you in delivering or actually selling that product as such, because people already know the quality of it, and also they already like that product as well. So it's easier to kind of sell and easier to appeal to the audience as such, which is amazing.
Finding your personal design language is important to any creative. It helps to streamline your creative output when producing anything from music to painting a picture. Developing a defined personal design language also helps you create a signature style when working on creative projects. Virgil Abloh was always open to sharing advice to help young creatives. He even started a YouTube channel that is dedicated to sharing information about brand building, with videos that include information on creating inclusive content, building a brand's DNA, and how to define a newsworthy company. The channel even includes a couple of Virgil's DJ sets. Before he passed, Virgil Abloh did his best to spread useful information that could help creatives succeed. I would advise anyone who wants to do something artistic or creative to check out some of the videos Virgil has left on his YouTube channel.
We'll watch those in the coming season. Yeah. I love it. I love it because he literally revolutionized the fashion we are in, especially the late 21st century. And his addition to Louis Vuitton gave them a significant boost in their sales, and also the way they actually produce clothes now. And more importantly, he gave us Off-White, and Off-White still is a huge success. But either way, let me know what you think about it, and we'll actually go on and actually check some of the Virgil's websites, videos, so that we can actually go into deeper understanding of these creative processes as well. Because seeing the end result is fun, but more exciting part is to actually go into the learning experience and be able to uplift yourself and see yourself grow. I think that is more important than just seeing the results as well. So we'll go into and actually see a little bit about what we can acquire from Virgil's creative vision. Let me know what you think about it, and I'll catch you in the next one.